going to get into the, why did he lie, all of that. We did that in the first hour. If you missed it, you can go back and check it out. I think where we want to start here is, and I hinted at this a little bit in my answer with the first hour, but is this sort of Todd Monken's way of declaring, without doing it in front of a podium, that, yeah, DW4 is my guy, it's going to be Deshaun Watson?
Well, I think the second power grid will go down after we hear what he says a little bit later
Perhaps,
today.
yeah.
Because, he'll answer, and it's the first question the media's going to ask, because, like I said, I was at practice, and everybody was like, the stands, everybody's like, oh, okay, well, that was, okay. So after that goes down, but I always bring it back to this, man. Like, wake me up when these games is happening. Like, yeah, like even if that is the where he's leaning, right? He could be leaning and he could have in his mind, I'm not a clairvoyant of what he's thinking in terms of who's going to be the starting quarterback. But for me, practice is great, and I've been steadfast on it. Let me see what it's going to look like in the game. One of the things that we watch with Deshaun Watson is for the last 6 years, and I'm not saying that you wish that a player has, you hope he stays healthy. You hope he continues to be able to throw the football, but I've been here long enough to watch Deshaun Watson and say, okay, this is a practice, but the problem I have with Deshaun Watson is the game.
Yeah.
It ain't been practice. It's been, what are your performances like in the game? I want to see him be able to complete passes and do what he needs to do in timing in the game. I also want to see that same thing from Shedeur Sanders. We've talked about some of the things that, Todd Monken wants him to work on. So it's like, okay, well, let me see if you're crisp, you're sharp. And to me, and I always continue to say it is, I do think, for the most part, Shedeur Sanders has outperformed Deshaun Watson. But guess what? The greatest equalizer is that's practice. You got to be able to see it in the game. So I don't know. He might be leaning towards Deshaun Watson, but we'll see how that looks moving out towards the week. But more than anything, can somebody catch another person based on what they do in the game? Sure. But we'll see what he says going into practice, Jason.
None of this should be surprising. Like, I and many others have been saying for months Deshaun was going to start. Deshaun was going to be the starter. Mm-hmm. I said when I came back from the owners' meeting, I was like, oh, no, they're serious about this. Like, Deshaun's going to be the starter. So I'm not at all surprised if this is a pivot or whatever, or this is whatever. It wouldn't shock me the least. And I've been adamant, like, I don't want to see Deshaun take another snap for the Browns.
Yeah, I think it serves strong on that.
I think it serves no purpose. And if you're going to make me pick between Deshaun and Shedeur, I would pick Shedeur. Clearly, they don't see it that way. And I said last week, there's a thumb on the scale for Deshaun because they want to try and get something out of the contract, whatever. But thumb on the scale isn't the whole body on the scale. If Shedeur outplayed Deshaun, Shedeur would win the job. And you said you think Shedeur outplayed him. That's fine. The Browns feel otherwise, clearly. Yeah. They feel like Deshaun's been better. And if it's close, Deshaun's going to get the benefit of the doubt because of the contract and everything else. So I'm not terribly surprised that this is how it's going. I was a little surprised Saturday just because of how it started with Todd saying that Shedeur was going to get the reps.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, I'm not, if Deshaun runs out on the field for week 1, I won't be shocked. I don't know how anybody could be shocked because all of the reporting since February, January, February, March has been that this is the way it was going to go.
You've been steadfast on that. Mary Kay Cabot said that months ago, and she got crucified.
Killed. Yeah, she got killed.
Absolutely crucified for it. And it wasn't her opinion. She was reporting.
Yeah.
She was reporting what she's hearing, and she's got an inside track like Jason does, and a lot of these other guys do. And that's what all of the winds were blowing in the direction of DW4. And I do believe that, to your point, I do believe that this was Shedeur's job, even though all the reporting was that Deshaun was going to be the starter. I think Shedeur had a chance to come in and so greatly outperform him that the coaches had to change their mind. Well, after looking at training camp, there is a clear-cut leader, and it is Shedeur. I don't want to say he fumbled that opportunity, but he didn't capitalize on it. And I do think, from all accounts, that Shedeur had been having the better camp up until mid last week. That's when I think the weather vane switched, and I started hearing Deshaun had his best day ever.
I was there Wednesday. That's the best I've seen him throw the ball.
And I've heard that exact quote from 4 people that were there. He's never thrown the ball that well during his time in Cleveland.
And Zach Jackson, I talked to him on my drive in today, And Zach said he was terrific Saturday. Like, for all that went on about like how they got to that point,
Right.
he said he looked terrific.
And I
on
think
Saturday.
towards the end of the competition, oftentimes a leader will separate themselves from the group. And I think that's what we've seen Deshaun Watson do. And for all we know, he might have had a conversation with Monken or offensive coordinators or offensive personnel, and they might have said, look, it's the 12th round. You need a knockout. You need a haymaker.
You know what? All that can be true. I still don't want to see him.
I know you don't. I won't argue
But
that.
I don't think there's any way he survives the whole season.
Jay, I won't argue that for a second. I'm just arguing at the starting block.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be him.
Here's the thing. Now, it's up to them to make the evaluation, but you go back until last Wednesday, it was a landslide. I mean, Deshaun Watson was throwing.
Did you view it that way, Jay? A landslide?
Deshaun Watson was throwing interceptions like in goo gobs, in it was egregious.
Deshaun looked bad. I'm not an NFL coach. I'm not going to. I don't know what they're looking at.
Sure.
I don't know what they. Yeah, to me, it looked like Shedeur was outplaying Deshaun
by landslide.
But because Deshaun looked horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
So it wasn't that Shedeur was Joe Montana's second coming. It was just that the other guy looked absolutely abysmal. And,
yes.
and Deshaun did not.
And I think
Shedeur did not.
I think too, like when we talk about like the practice stuff, I remember talking to Zach on the sideline, and he said, "Well, look, I remember I'm young enough to remember when we were at the Greenbrier or we were doing some of these scrimmages, and we go against I think it was the Vikings at the time, well, maybe not the Vikings or one of the teams," and he said, "Listen, Deshaun can't complete no passes at all." And he was like
the Eagles, maybe?
It was like, he was like, you got to understand that when you look at them guys playing against other competition, that's where I want to see it. Now, if he says Deshaun, now I think you bring a good point. Deshaun took advantage of the reps he was given. It wasn't like, oh, no matter how they got there, he did take advantage of those reps and he was sharp. Now, I also said that Shedeur during that practice, Shedeur was good during those reps too. It's just Deshaun got more. So for me, there's things that Deshaun struggled with earlier on in interceptions. There's things that Shedeur struggled with later on in terms of, all right, well, we want to see certain things from you. We want to see you get and speed up and get more plays in. So at the end of the day, that's great to see it in practice, but like I said, wake me up when I want to see him do it on the football field against somebody else. And then when you do that, then we can all see it right in front of our eyes, and it's undeniable, is it not?
Gee, I think that's the salient point that we kind of came to in hour number one. Even though I think Deshaun's car may be slightly ahead of Shedeur's right now, I'm also willing to say that we're not at the finish line yet.
No.
And I think that they're going to do the prudent thing, even though they may be leaning towards Deshaun. Perhaps this was a test. Let's see if this wakes Shedeur up. Let's see what he does when he finds out at Saturday's workout, oh, it's a bait and switch. You're not with the ones. I want to see what he does in the next practice. How does he rebound from that? Is he mature enough to handle adversity? He's going to face adversity in NFL games. So maybe this was a psychological evaluation, an exam. How do you do against this? I think the cars are on the track. I think Shedeur is slightly behind Deshaun. We're not at the finish line. I think the final decision is going to be made after the second preseason game. That's when we're going to have, we always say, you're best equipped to make the best decision when you have the most amount of information. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of information we don't have. His dad's nickname is Primetime, okay? Mm-hmm. It shouldn't surprise anybody that this guy has another gear, another level. And we saw it last year. He was not a great practice performer last year. But there were also undeniable moments when he got in games that he pulled a hat out of a rabbit, or a rabbit out of a hat. And I didn't think he was going to be able to do it.
The first game against the Panthers, I said this yesterday. I said he wasn't getting reps. Like, I'm like, well, he ain't been throwing to nobody in practice. And they're like, oh, he's starting against the Panthers. And I'm like, I turned around and looked. I said, I think I got faith in his talent level, but I don't know how this is going to look.
He's not prepared.
Without no reps. And he got out there and acted like he had been throwing the ball around all the time. He's throwing in touchdowns, extending plays, moving around in the pocket. And the one thing I always tell people, or we see, is, yes, he don't look that fast, but then he seems to, on Sunday, have a little different, I'm moving, a little different way of getting at it. And so for me, I always say it's not about what you do. in terms of when things happen to you. It's how you respond to it. I thought he responded well at the practice. And also, the only thing you can do as a player is take full advantage of your opportunity when it comes. When them lights is on and it's time for you to go, you got to take advantage of it. And so he'll get his opportunity in one of these games. I think he's fully honest, and I think we all expect him to play. And then we'll see. And it goes for Deshaun Watson too. The proof is on him. Think about it. Deshaun Watson ain't played against another soul outside of a Cleveland Browns jersey in how long?
Well, he got
Almost
hurt last
2
year,
years.
right?
So let's see what he does in the game. Let's see how this moves. Because at the end of the day, that's the competition. I want to see who gonna turn it on. That's what we all here for. Let's get it.
I have no faith he plays 17 games.
Well,
None.
neither one of them will.
None.
Not a chance.